may hear about the sudden disappearance of a person, and we are surprised. We may hear about the disappearance of a small group under mysterious circumstances, and questions begin to arise. But when we reach the disappearance of an entire army, and magic and the curses of the pharaohs become part of the story, then you will certainly be shocked. Today we present a mystery from centuries past, one that left even the greatest researchers bewildered before its ambiguity, and the search to uncover its truth continues to this very day. You are about to hear one of the strangest stories in history, so take a deep breath, prepare yourselves, and let us journey into the depths of the Dark Ages. The lost army of King Cambyses. My friends, tonight we venture into the depths of the desert and travel back in time to centuries before Christ. In this episode, you will learn about one of the strangest cases of disappearance that has remained an unsolved mystery to this day. A disappearance that did not affect a person, a group, or even a civilization, but an entire army with all its soldiers and equipment. What is the story? And what is the connection to the pharaohs? Or more precisely, the curse of the pharaohs? Let us dive into history and search. The lost army of King Cambyses II. Cambyses II was the son of one of the greatest kings recorded in history, Cyrus the Great, king of the Achaemenid Persians, known for his vast expansions and conquests that made the Persian Empire one of the most powerful empires of its time. Cambyses succeeded his father in ruling the Achaemenid Empire after his death in 530 BC and ruled until 522 BC. According to historians, Cambyses was a man hungry for power, pursuing it by every possible means, whether peaceful or military. His greatest ambition was to conquer and rule Egypt, fulfilling his father's dream before his death. He began his preparations. At first he chose diplomacy and cunning. He asked for the hand of the daughter of the Egyptian king at the time, Cambyses II, seeking through marriage to reach the throne of Egypt. However, Cambyses had a different view. The Egyptian king did not want his daughter to marry the Persian king, as the pharaohs were known for their insistence on keeping their royal blood unmixed. At the same time, he did not wish to provoke hostility with the Achaemenid Empire and its king. So he sent the daughter of a former king named Apries instead of his own daughter. But the girl later revealed her true identity, which enraged Cambyses and gave him the perfect pretext to invade Egypt, according to Greek historians, most notably Herodotus, and he achieved what he wanted. After the death of Cambyses II, his son Psamtik III assumed the throne. In 524 BC, the Persian advance reached Egypt, and a battle known as the Battle of Pelusium took place near what is now Port Said. It ended with the defeat of the Egyptian army and the arrival of King Cambyses II as ruler of Egypt. Cambyses' ambition did not stop at Egypt. He dreamed of conquering other lands. One eye was set on Carthage and the other on Nubia and its gold. He ordered his naval fleet to sail toward Carthage, but the campaign failed. Historically, the Achaemenid Empire relied heavily on Phoenician sailors and their maritime skills. When ordered to attack Carthage, the Phoenician sailors refused, unwilling to fight their own kin, as reported by historians. Thus, the first campaign ended. The second campaign carried many stories and plays a crucial role in our episode. Maintain your focus and listen carefully. As mentioned, Cambyses' eye was on the gold of Nubia. For this purpose, he sent spies to the Nubian city of Napata to assess the people and their capabilities. The spies carried fine garments, jewelry, and wine as gifts for the king of Napata. They met the king and presented the gifts. However, he possessed enough intelligence and shrewdness to realize they were spies of the Persian king. He sent them back with a message challenging Cambyses. If he wished to invade Nubia, he would need strong and fierce warriors capable of facing the Nubians. The spies returned and told Cambyses about the wealth and wonders they had seen, including a spring whose water made the skin shine and smell pleasant, and chains in prisons made of pure gold. The Nubian king's challenge on one side and the treasures of Nubia on the other tempted Cambyses. He prepared a campaign described by ancient historians as not properly equipped for such a mission. Cambyses marched with his army for 52 days. However, he committed a strategic mistake. He chose the desert route instead of following the river, attempting to shorten the distance. The desert heat and lack of supplies forced the army to eat grass. Some ancient sources even claim they resorted to cannibalism. Cambyses was eventually forced to cancel the campaign and return to Egypt. Before embarking on this campaign, Cambyses received news that the priests of the temple of Amun, who had rejected his authority over Egypt and refused to recognize his kingship, had predicted the campaign's failure. Enraged, Cambyses ordered 50,000 of his soldiers to march to the Siwa Oasis and destroy and burn the temple of Amun, known as the Temple of the Oracle. Here the strangeness begins. The army marched fully equipped toward Siwa, but upon reaching the region known today as the Karga Oasis, it vanished completely. Yes, as you heard, the army of 50,000 soldiers disappeared without a trace. Remarkably, this army was never mentioned in hieroglyphic inscriptions nor in ancient Persian texts. The first mention of it and its fate came from Greek historians, particularly Herodotus, about 75 years after the event. Herodotus wrote that a massive sandstorm struck the army and buried it entirely beneath the LRML without further explanation. In your opinion, what caused this storm, if we accept the accounts of that era? An army marching to destroy a temple dedicated to one of the pharaoh's gods is struck by a storm that erases it completely. Then the reason must be the curse of the temple of Amun. Many expeditions attempted to find even a single trace of this army, but all failed. As a result, some believed the story of the lost army was merely an ancient legend recorded by Herodotus, based on what he had heard, as reported by NBC News. But matters changed in 1996 when the story returned to the spotlight. During an expedition searching for iron meteorite remains near a small oasis close to Siwa, a half-buried vessel and human remains were discovered. The discovery, made by the Italian archaeologist brothers Angelo and Alfredo Castiglioni, did not stop there. According to Alfredo, in an interview with Discovery Channel, they noticed what appeared to be a natural shelter from sandstorms. A massive solitary rock in the desert. They believed it could have served as protection from violent winds. In the same area, Egyptian geologist Ali Barakat used a metal detector to locate ancient military artifacts buried beneath the sand, along with scattered jewelry fragments. The collected pieces were studied, and the conclusion was that they dated back to the Achaemenid Persian period, according to ancient jewelry expert Andrea Canetti in an interview with Discovery News. Over the next 16 years, the Castiglioni brothers studied archaeological maps and concluded that the Achaemenid army did not take the commonly assumed route through Dakhla and Farafra oases. Instead, they believed it started from Karga, moved west toward the Gilf Kebir Plateau, crossed Wadi Abd al-Malik, and then headed north towards Siwa. They argued this route was militarily more suitable and kept the army away from potential conflict with Egyptians in other oases. Geographical surveys revealed dried water sources and artificial wells made of hundreds of buried vessels. Thermoluminescence testing confirmed the vessels dated back approximately 2,500 years, consistent with the time of Cambyses II. According to NBC News, the brothers suggested that when the army reached the area, they believed they had reached the temple, but instead encountered unexpected Khamsin winds carrying massive amounts of sand. The army scattered in search of shelter. Some may have reached Lake Sitra and survived, but there is no explanation for why they never returned to report what happened. They also heard local Bedouin stories about thousands of white bones emerging from beneath the LRML due to weather conditions, and about a large grave containing hundreds of skulls and bones that had been looted, along with an ancient sword sold to a tourist. A horse bridle matching descriptions from the Achaemenid Empire was also found. The team contacted the Egyptian Geological Survey Authority and returned the artifacts to Egyptian authorities, announcing their findings in 2009. However, many archaeologists rejected their claims, especially since the announcement was made through a documentary produced by controversial filmmakers, according to Ancient Origins. Among the critics was Professor Olaf Kapper of Leiden University in the Netherlands. He proposed a completely different theory. He argued that sandstorms do not kill entire armies, so how could one destroy 50,000 soldiers? According to him, the army was ambushed and annihilated by the Egyptian rebel Petubastis III. In a 2014 conference at Leiden University, Professor Kappa stated that the Achaemenid army reached Siwa Oasis, where Petubastis III was based, fell into a well-prepared ambush and was wiped out. Petubastis then expanded his control and declared himself king in Memphis. Excavations in the Siwa Oasis revealed inscriptions listing the royal titles of Petubastis III, dated to the Achaemenid period, specifically the time of Cambyses II. By combining inscriptions, archaeological findings, and Herodotus's account, Kappa suggested the army was destroyed by Egyptian rebels. But where did the sandstorm story originate? According to Professor Kappa, the answer lies with Darius I, who succeeded Cambyses after his death. Cambyses reportedly died from an infected wound he accidentally inflicted upon himself with his sword during his return journey to suppress a rebellion. Darius I, seeking to preserve imperial honor, concealed the humiliating defeat and attributed the army's disappearance to a violent sandstorm. 75 years later, Herodotus recorded the story. Yet, despite all theories, no definitive remains of the army have been found. The search continues to this day. So, my friends, this is what we have regarding the lost army of Cambyses II. The army that disappeared into the darkness of the desert centuries ago and opened a door of questions that remains unanswered. Now it is your turn. Was this army real or merely legend? If it existed, where did it vanish? Were they swallowed by the desert storms, or defeated and erased by human pride, their fate blamed on silent nature? Will we one day witness the final revelation of this mystery? Only time will tell.